talking about a very important issue, which is the export in Egypt and how to increase the level of our export in order to boost the Egyptian economy. And to shed more light on the issue, we are delighted to have with us our dear guest, Dr. Ayoub Ayoub, the retired plenipotentiary commercial minister. Hello, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for joining us, sir, in the breakfast show. Now, before we talk about the exports of Egypt, let's talk first about the main challenges facing the economy of Egypt at this current stage.
The main challenge is, first of all, number one, to reproduce, come back to production, begin again the production cycle, which has stopped or almost stopped for some 30 months now or more than that. It is a big challenge for us. Let us begin with this, and then we can proceed to other sectors, mainly or namely the export promotion, which is a vital lifeline to Egyptian economy at this stage.
Sir, how can we start this production in order to increase our export in the coming phase?
Well, to begin with, what we are seeing now is the more stability which you are witnessing now, gradual more stability in Egypt, will reflect on the mood of producers or manufacturers, whether producer manufacturers or agriculture manufacturers, because these are the main market or the main component of export promotion. The agriculture products, processed agriculture products, and the manufactured products. These are three main categories which you should focus on. So the first challenge, as I mentioned now, is reproduction, or begin again production cycle. Let us be aware of a fact that to produce in many cases means I will have to import.
Yes.
If we look to the imports for the last couple of years or 3 years, we found that there is a steady increase, and it's a big one. But the exports, on the other hand, this is not at the same level of that increase. It is gradually, very gradually increasing, and in some cases it is decreasing.
Yes, now, sir, you said that it's important to reproduce and that the Egyptian economy is going to be bettering by that. And then you said that the imports are steady or on a steady increase for the past couple of years. The fact is that Egypt has been importing almost everything. And not just Egypt, but the whole world. I mean, China has become just a major exporting country in the world. And you would even find Chinese brands more cheaper than the Egyptian homemade brands. And I'm talking generally in different things, not just in food and agriculture. Now, in order for people to reproduce, and maybe one of the reasons why Egypt stopped producing in the first place is because of the low payments and the underemployment of people in different fields. Now, how can the government, the new government in particular, fix this problem? You need to be paid well in order for you to be able to produce at least up to the quality of standards, especially if you're going to export.
My main power is my manpower. The Egyptians whom I have seen overseas, I just came from Kosovo, Pristina, Kosovo. I have seen bright examples of the youth, what they are doing for their own country. So my main power is the manpower. In many cases, we find, me as employer, I found that the employees in many cases, they are under-trained or not well-trained or not trained at all. He thinks, or she of course, that he have the right to in the pay, in the salary or wage, but me as a producer or manufacturer does not have equal right in return of my pay. So employment depends also on training and the proper training for each industry. This is a very big area which we have to capitalize on from that moment, because to produce I need experienced and well-trained labor. What we have now in many cases, many factories has been closed down for this or that reason, as we know in the last couple or 3 years at least. Let us begin in these same factories only to have them back to production with their trained. If they don't have, let us have a long process, or it is a long process, but let us begin today in retraining our manpower for the new challenges we are facing in the export market, be it Chinese or whatever. But China is the manufacturer of the world. They import everything and they almost export everything.
Sir, from your point of view, where does Egypt stand now in terms of exporting goods?
Well, it is a really difficult question because the market is full of competitors. I have relative advantage and comparative advantage in certain sectors. I should capitalize on this area.
Yeah.
I cannot produce everything and export all over the world, but let us focus on a certain number of products, I will not say commodities of course, on which I have competitive advantage so that I can begin with it or resume production. We are when I was in China, we exported refrigerators.
Refrigerators?
Yes, refrigerators to China. Of course, it did not go to China, but to other countries. In cases, we exported cement nominally to China, but they were having some production projects in other nearby Arab country, and they imported cement from Egypt because it is cost effective to import. So I have my areas of power, my strengths. I should remove the dust from it. Let us begin with that now, better than tomorrow. Today better than tomorrow.
Yes, and I'm glad, sir, that you mentioned training, because this part of the world, particularly in Egypt, people, and I'm specifically talking about the labor force, training is something that is insignificant for them. And from my minor experience of dealing with workforce and laborers, they feel that it is, they're very materialistic, so if they're not getting paid for it, they'll not go for it. They believe that their experience comes from practicing and not from learning how to renovate themselves and update and upgrade their ideas and potentials. And at the same time, they feel that their training is going to take from the time of their workforce, which is again going to be on the sake of their payment or on the sake of their duties. So how can training be an essential part of all different specializations here in Egypt, and how can it be regular, and how can you grab people's interest, particularly this level of society, the labor workforce?
Yes. Vocational training, there are centers for vocational training in Egypt. I know that most of the manufacturers or owners prefer to have well-trained employee. But this well-trained employee, the training has two components. Before employment and through employment. I cannot take a university graduate and put him just in the field
without any training.
It needs time to train for this specific job. What we study in the universities is an overall...
Yes. Theoretically only applicable.
Yes, exactly. So they need special training and vocational training for specific, but a part of it should be before employment itself, and the other part can be through the employment itself, during the process itself. But it is significant, not insignificant. The training is significant.
Sir, from your point of view, what are the major obstacles and challenges facing the Egyptian export?
First, let us begin with training. When I have under-trained employee, this means that the product will be, the quality of product will not be to the standard which is required by this or that market. This is number one. The cost of production. It's a very important factor. The cost, because it will reflect on the price. And I have competitors, I'm not living alone. Number three, the quality. The quality of products which in many cases we export, some in many cases in Africa, some products were returned because it is substandard. Number four, I have to capitalize on the use of modern technology. It is not that expensive, by the way.
Yeah.
It is not that expensive. But I can use modern technology in evaluating and evolution of my products. Number six, we can add to that we can have the experiences of other countries who have succeeded in this specific sector.
Yes.
Now, I'm very glad you mentioned this point, because that brings to my mind something as well. I have noticed that the Egyptian exports are much more high quality and production than the local. I mean, I've traveled to Spain, where I had to go and get a piece of cloth that costs so much, and then to be surprised